Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, with Halloween approaching, I decided that we would be doing another scary story video that I just started a new series on. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get right in. This is the first story I'm going to read. It was near Halloween time when my friends and I were telling ghost stories. My friend said she was going to tell a story about her parents' first date. She said she didn't like telling the story since it was actually true, but we prodded her on. To cut to the chase, the parents had spent a nice, if awkward, first date, and around the time that they would have said goodnight, the male in the situation, my friend's dad, suggested that they go for a midnight hike up Provo Canyon. He apparently knew the place since he had done a fair amount of rock climbing in the area. So the two drove up the mouth of the canyon, got out of their cars, and started hiking under the light of the stars, since it was a new moon. At some point, he started getting a bad feeling, because it was getting to be quite late. He ignored the feeling and pressed on, and later, rehearsing of the story, the woman would say that she felt the same feeling at what was probably the same time, though she didn't know the trail like he did. A minute later, the feeling came back to him, and he ignored it again, and started walking a bit of the way into the trees when his foot hit something soft in the middle of the path. Under the trees, it was too dark to see just what this soft thing was, and the feeling came back stronger than ever. Instead of finding out what his foot had bumped into, he and the woman both agreed to hightail it out of there. Years later, after being married for some time, they were watching an interview with the serial killer, Ted Bundy. In response to a question asking him to describe the time that he felt the closest to being caught, he explained the night that he lured a girl into Provo Canyon and had just killed her when he heard some people coming up the trail. He explained how he hid in the trees just in time, only to watch some guy walk right into the body and for some reason just turn around and walk away. I would literally have a heart attack if I was watching that and realized that was me and now my husband. Yeah, I would be freaked the hell out. Story number 2. This is about 15 years ago when my parents went out for a nice dinner for their anniversary and decided that I was old enough and responsible enough to be left alone for a few hours on a weeknight. I was almost 9 and we owned a fairly protective dog at the time, so it all seemed fine. They leave, tell me to lock up, and to call if anything happens. I do, and I proceed to party around the house like a rock star, because, dude, I have the whole dang house to myself, and I could do whatever I wanted. Hell yeah. Halfway through a Sailor Moon marathon, I get a knock on the door. I'm confused as all get out, because it's only been about 2.5 hours, and they said they would probably be back around 10. I guess Mama has left something she needed again and swung by to grab it. My front door is a system of 2 doors. A super old thick wooden door, and a screen door. My dog started raising hell at the front door, but I just pulled her back to calm down, because she had a tendency to be reactive to most noises. Well, it's not my mom at the door, but some middle-aged man I've never met before in my life. Papa is now basically feral, so I keep the screen door firmly closed and a hand on her collar as I ask the man what he wants. He starts in on this weird, convoluted story about how he has 2 young twin daughters and how they got into a fight and that one of them had run away. That seems like the ultimate, pedophile, murderer, child kidnapper go-to story. Now, this man then claims that he believes his daughter is hiding in my house and would like to come look for her. I tell him no such girl is here, and why does he think she would be here in the first place? He goes on to a long story about how this was the house they first lived in and how it's the one she was born in and how it was like a safe place for her and would be the most likely place she would run away. This dude's story hasn't really been helping his cause, but now I know something shitty is going down. I, in no uncertain terms, inform the guy that he must have the wrong house because this house was built and has been lived in by my family since its construction. My dad was born in that house, and after my mom and dad told my grandparents that they were pregnant with my older sister, they gave it to them. Hell, there were pictures of my dad and uncle playing in the front yard in the late 70s. By now, my dog is growling like crazy, and dude is getting kinda agitated. He insists that I don't know what I'm talking about and that if I would just give him a few minutes to search for his daughter, he would be on his way. The latch on the screen door is broken and I'm putting all strength into holding my dog from the door. He opens the screen door with one hand and with the other he reaches for my closest arm. My crazy cocker goes fucking ballistic. All her strength to lunge at him, gets a hold of his hand and bites down. Now man is yelling and confused. He pushed back against the screen door and slams it shut to get my dog off of him. Sadie gets pushed back indoors but is still raging. I quickly slam the front door, lock it, and chain it shut. I run around the house and make sure all the windows and doors are locked and then I hunker down in the bathroom hyperventilating. I wait about 15 minutes until Sadie's growling has calmed some. Check outside, no man or his car, both long gone. I call my parents and tell them they need to come right now, please. When they get home, I recount the whole story. Dad goes to check the front door and sure enough, on the screen door jamb and siding in the house is a large smear of blood. Sadie was treated like a queen and got a whole steak for her to eat on that weekend. See, this is why having dogs is so handy. Like, I have 2 pit bulls, and I know if anybody were to try to come into this house, my dogs are going to go off. Like, they're very protective of me. Okay, I'm going to read one more story. This one is called Dark Alley Should Always Be Avoided. It's kind of hard to describe, but I live next to a 24-hour grocery store that's by itself in a big parking lot. I walk up a side alley and turn to the left to get to the store, the front entrance. One night at 5 a.m., I walked over to it to get something. When I came back out of the store, there was an old man waiting at a bus stop, right out front next to the alley I'd come from. For some reason, I immediately felt weird and did not want to walk by him at all. So I walked back into the store. I waited 10 minutes before I decided to walk back anyway, thinking I was being silly. The man was gone. But I still felt really weird. That's when I remembered that the bus doesn't run for 2 hours, and since he never went into the grocery store, I couldn't think of a single reason why he had been waiting there. I just kept thinking he was waiting for me, and even though he was gone, I knew I could not walk back the way I came. Instead, I walked into the opposite direction and up the hill before crossing over. When I looked down, I could see in the alley I would have walked down. The man was hiding there, leaning against the wall, waiting for me. Now I only go to that store during daylight. That's why, like, that makes me remember, like, when I was a kid, my parents would be like, you can't be walking around anywhere by yourself at night. You have to always be aware of your surroundings. If anything happens, start screaming, kick somebody in the privates, and run. That's what I was taught. So I hope you guys enjoyed these scary true stories that I found. And I will be back with another episode in the series. And I hope everybody is having a safe, almost Halloween. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe so I know to make more videos. Okay, bye guys.